into this. All right, everybody, hello and welcome. You are here for How to Land a Job in 2026. My name is Albert. I am the founder of Albert's List. We are a job search organization, also helping you learn skills in side hustle and AI, with the intention of helping you become the most resilient professional you can possibly be. And boy, we are in a crazy time right now. We just had somebody here in our audience mention that a 30-person marketing team was getting laid off all because of AI. And of course, we have the news that Morgan Stanley is laying off 2,500. And Oracle, because they are spending gobs and gobs and gobs of money, are also looking to lay people off as well and also spin out that Cerner Health unit, which has not panned out the way that it has. And if you've been following me for a while, you know that I used to work at Oracle and I was part of their 2022 layoff after they spent, I think, $30 billion on Cerner. And it's crazy how in just 4 years later, they've pivoted completely into something different because they have AI data centers, and that's just the direction in which things have gone. A little bit about me as I begin this webinar. I want to welcome all of you, wherever you may be on this wonderful blue planet of ours today. I invite you to share your LinkedIn profile. I invite you to tell us where you're dialing in from and what it is that you're looking for in your situation. I am a San Francisco Bay Area born and raised job search entrepreneur. You can connect with me here on LinkedIn. I'm also the founder of Albert's List, a job search community, 50,700 people on Facebook, where we connect everyone from job seekers, hiring managers, job opportunities, and more. And yes, today's webinar will be recorded. We will be following up with you multiple times as we have many things to say about the job market. And we are also on the eve of yet another jobs report. So it's always going to be fun times seeing the direction of where all that goes. So stay tuned and keep your ear to the ground. Today's agenda is going to be pretty simple. I'm here to tell you today how to land your next job. The skills, the strategies, the trends, and the things that you should think about and take away from today's webinar, whether you're just here to listen in or whether you're here to also take action. Got a lot of things going on over here in the next month here at Albert's List, and I want to just share with you all the great things that will really get you in tune of everything that is happening. So the agenda today is just 2026 so far, how to navigate it, some things you can do to take action, and then I'll be answering your questions. In the meantime, I'm going to keep a poll going here on also about the state of the job market. So far, we're seeing that out of those of you who have responded, 61% of you feel neutral about the state of the job market, or 57% of you now. 40% of you feel negative, and just one of you, 3%, feels positive about the state of the economy. And so if you do feel positive about the state of the economy, please share in the webinar chat why you feel that certain way. And so we'll go from there. All right, so let's talk about 2026 so far. If you've paid attention to the news, you definitely know that layoffs are the beginning theme of what's been going on. Amazon laid off 16,000 people in late January. Last week, we saw that Block laid off 4,000 workers all at once. And Jack Dorsey wrote this very, I guess you could say, opportune and I guess dark tweet about how AI is taking over everything. We also have news about Oracle laying off thousands. We also have JP Morgan laying off 2,500. And we've got someone in this chat here today who said that an entire 30-person marketing team was getting cut due to AI. And so AI is very much front and center. It'll be part of this conversation today as well. And it's just, yeah, it's certainly something that is taking over a lot of whatever's on our mind at the moment because companies realize that, they finally have the ultimate tool to fight back against the almighty worker, which is you and I. We want more pay to keep up with inflation. We want to be valued at work. And our employers are saying, no, 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 no. You will do what we tell you, or we will put AI or we will inject Claude skills into this and make you worthless. I hate it. I know all of you probably hate it too. And maybe some of you are working in and don't hate it as much because at least it keeps you employed for the time being. But layoffs are a big part of what's going on in our market right now. And it's something that that's impacting a lot of people, right? It used to not be so hand wavy, but now it very much is. And what's leading into that, right? Some of this is some of these latest advances in AI. In late January, early February, we had this big thing come onto the market called OpenClaw. OpenClaw, as you may or may not know, is an AI agent that you can run in an isolated environment, which is why you have a shortage of Mac M4 Pro Mac Minis, as well as other systems, because OpenClaw can literally do things for you while you sleep, whether it's research, whether it's messaging people on your behalf, coming out with content for you that you can go ahead and just copy and paste, and everything in between. In addition to that, you're also seeing the proliferation of skills from places like Claude. Claude is the AI tool founded by Anthropic, and they've just been labeled a supply chain risk by the US Pentagon because they're not going to allow the firing of missiles without, an absence of a human in the loop. But they've also got skills that they've launched that serve the financial sector, the marketing sector, the legal sector, and so much more. And so, at this juncture, what's really just super fascinating about all this is that I've gotten to a point where it truly is this question of how long are we going to have employees? And the other thing about it that I see a lot of too is that you have a lot of people who are on, Facebook and so forth, who are your social media influencers talking about how artificial general intelligence will be here by the end of the year, right? And I look at that, I sigh, and I just kind of throw my phone across the room because it's like, really? Are we ready for the consequences of that? And, do our software engineers agree with those outlandish statements? It's yet to be seen. So, yeah. We have an interesting comment. This is an actual screening question on a recent app. Please confirm that all responses provided in this application are your original work and were not generated or assisted by artificial intelligence tools or software. By answering yes, you attest to the authenticity of your responses. Oh, yeah. No, that's where we're at now with many of these things, right? Employers are not afraid to use AI and impose AI on you, whether it's laying you off or forcing you to uh, interview with an AI as their first round. But they will absolutely punish you if you end up using AI to go ahead and apply. So it's kind of crazy. It's kind of wild. But as we'll probably say it during the course of today's webinar, it is what it is. So if you are looking at areas in the economy that are growing, there are some areas that are growing. One of the things that we've also seen as we move through 2026 is that the economy really hasn't grown. And there was a Goldman Sachs article written the other day that said that AI really didn't contribute anything to the GDP last year. It was just a lot of spending and investment, but it didn't really create a lot of productivity on really any end at a massive scale. And so we may hit that problem where we realize we can automate everything, but we don't really get any additional spending because there's no money to actually spend. And if you've also realized that your job search has sucked, one thing that you also realize is that there's been a lot of downward revisions to non-farm payrolls over the last little bit. We saw that in late 2025. It came out to us in 2023 and 2024. And it just shows that the market is super, super weak right now. But if you are looking for a job and you are looking for something that will keep you employed, possibly for the next 20 years, I give you the chart on the left, which is healthcare and private education. Healthcare continues to grow at an alarmingly great pace because number one, the costs of healthcare continue to go up. And that is perpetuated by administrative costs, the cost of doing business, and really just the amount of regulatory capture that there is in the market. It's also made very good by the fact that baby boomers continue to turn 65, and they will be doing so through the end of next year. Right, the baby boom generation was 1946 to 1962. 62 plus 65 is 1962 plus 65 is 2027. And so if you're okay filling out paperwork, filling and cleaning bedpans, and taking care of people at the end of their life, then healthcare may be a career for you. Meanwhile, everything else along the way has not been doing well. Professional services, business, professional services, information, and so forth for all you white collar workers has not been on on a very good upswing. Chris, what country would you like data for? I don't have that information right now, but maybe I could do some street finance and maybe take a quick look. It is just me in this presentation. So Australia. Okay, so let's see. Australia job growth. I'm just looking at this on another tab here just to see if we can look at this. Okay, so here we go. We found one. So for those of you who are in Australia and our friends down under, we have healthcare and social assistance being the blue and non-healthcare being the red. And so I think it seems to be that overall, your job market is also cratering at some level, but you're also seeing a lot of non-healthcare jobs overtake healthcare and social assistant jobs, especially over the last few months or so. So it seems like the pattern is continuing to repeat. I'm going to look at Singapore too while I'm at it. Let's see. Singapore job postings. All right. And I'm just literally Googling and pasting here. So, um, okay. So what does this mean? Share of occupational sectors above a certain threshold. Most jobs are above pre-pandemic levels and others are, I guess it seems like unemployment is decreasing and things are actually going pretty well there. So, okay, I'll take that. Let's see. We'll do New Zealand too, since we're asking for our favorite countries. Let's see if I can find anything here that would be relevant. Okay, so here's another image. New Zealand. All right, so let me make this. Ooh, goodness gracious. Okay. New Zealand unemployment earnings and number employed. So it seems to be that, oh, this is a much older image. Never mind. Let me see if I can find something more recent. Okay. No, that's Q1 2025. Okay. Let's see. What can we find for New Zealand? Um, it seems like some of the data shows that employers are starting to hire again after some falling. This is just something that I can find quickly after from last fall. So things are getting better. I'm going to do Canada and then I'm going to leave it at that. So I just encourage you to Google it and look for it. And I'm happy to interpret it, as we see fit. So let's see. If we look at Canada's job market, Canada's job market also, just like the United States, saw a big decline at some point here in the during the pandemic era. And what we're seeing is that job postings and vacancies. So if you see Indeed, job vacancies are pretty much at even since the day the pandemic began. Whereas your Canadian specific statistics show that the job market is about 15%, or about 15 points below of what things when the pandemic first happened. I literally just used Canada or your country job growth 2026. Yes, thank you, Donald. I wanted to see what we could find here. And so, look, it just seems like most countries have a similar situation where the job market is not obviously not what it used to be, but the job market is recovering in some places, but also just seeing a lot of movement downward in a lot of other places as well, given especially what we've seen in the US. And so, right, if we look back into 2025, 2025 is not a year that I would say was one to remember. We definitely had a lot of tough job numbers. And, going into this year, maybe you could hope it would be better. And, some things have improved right here in the United States. Our tariffs have been ruled illegal. But things like AI mania and downsizing and uncertainty and global geopolitics, however you make of them, also continue to be top of mind for a lot of us as we think about where things will head. One of the things that wasn't relevant maybe last week, but is now very relevant this week, is the fact that the United States and, really our president has launched an attack on Iran. And regardless of your politics and how you feel about going into another country to depose a leader and institute regime change, The downstream economic impact of that is the Strait of Hormuz, which is where most of the world's oil comes through. And so, with that in mind, the cost of oil is going to be going up. And the cost of oil going up means that manufacturing and supply chain costs and everything that is tied to the cost of oil and the cost of energy is going to go up as well, which means that we are probably on track if this war goes on for a little bit to see inflation, which also disincentivizes business from investment, which may lead to fewer jobs and more economic uncertainty on the way. And so, what does that mean, right? If we have high unemployment because companies don't want AI and we have higher inflation, that's what equals stagflation. And that's never been good, especially, if you remember the 1970s or remember your US history or your world history, where you had similarly high oil prices and you had a lot of people out of work and it was very uncertain. And so something is going to have to give at some point. AI and healthcare also continue to remain important areas because there is a significant amount of investment in those. But as we look through what we try to do here, it's definitely an interesting period and one that where perhaps if you're frustrated with your job search and you're wondering why your job search isn't making the hay that it is, then it's also something you should understand to be that could be a lot bigger than you. But you know what? There's also some things that you can control and put in your locus of control because you are a human being and you have your own self agency. And so, with that, I want to go into our next section where we talk about how to navigate 2026. In this section, I have about 5 sections that I want to go into and really talk about both job search, skilling, and job search strategy. I think each of these are key when it comes to thinking about our job search because so much of it tends to be blocked out by how we think about ourselves, but also how we approach the job market and think things through strategically. So we have to understand, knowing where we've been, which will help us understand what lies ahead. It's still the toughest job market since 2008. And in a lot of respects, it feels like it's getting worse. Last year, around this time, I was saying that it's the worst since 2008, but it's not 2008 yet. And depending on the chart you read, it may or may get worse. It really depends on who you are. But what is true is that if you are laid off and you are joining the job market for the first time in a while, or maybe, in the last few years, competition is fiercer than ever because you have people who are joining the job market and they are very skilled and they've come from very great companies. One thing to just think about, for example, is that Amazon has laid off 30,000 people in the last 7 months alone. And so that's 30,000 workers, maybe minus a couple of thousand that maybe found internal transfers that are now on the market with the Amazon mindset and really figuring out what it means to compete, right? So you're going to have to find ways to stand out. You're going to have to find ways to be unique. And you're also going to have to find ways to meaningfully pivot, especially if you're looking for that job and you lead that job now. And so, one thing to consider is that AI is still leading everything. And that's, a big piece of some of these layoffs as well. And so, it's going to continue sucking oxygen out of the room. If somebody who's seen the movie Mean Girls, you know that for one thing, right? They're trying to make AI happen. And so until AI happens, we're going to just keep continuing to see this spending and they're going to force the ROI to happen in one way or another. It'll be very fetch. Yes. And so as you understand what's ahead for yourself in the job market itself, and two, I want you to think about looking for opportunities in unlikely places. I think that one thing that I've seen from job seekers that I've spoken to over the last couple of years is just that it's it's sometimes you have to find yourself in survival jobs or contract jobs or even go into teaching and do things that you never thought that you would do. Mostly because there are no jobs in your area, but also to the other fact, it's just you have to find something that will keep you moving forward, that will help you pay your rent and really take you to the next. It's hard for me to say at this point whether we're going to see economic boom times again. I certainly hope so. Um, but I also think that we got to get to a point where things can feel stable, or at least we transition into this AI and post AI world where people are going to at least, have something that will lead them through economically. Can you hear me? Okay, you can hear my audio. All right, cool. All right, just wanted to make sure of that as I go along here. Okay, so what is the first trend? So the first trend is to be a strategic searcher. And I talk about this quite a bit these days, and what it means to be a strategic searcher. And so, what does that mean, right? So, strategic searching is no longer is meaning that you're no longer searching for a job in the traditional way, where you send in applications and hope for a reply, or you use the tenets of the Great Resignation, knowing that you can leave a bad situation and go into something that you know can be helpful and good for you. The truth of it now is that with AI and layoffs, and really this new economy creating a lot of downward pressure, you have to think about your role differently. And so, what does that look like? That means number one is transitioning from thinking like a commoditized, skill based owner to a strategic individual. And what does that mean? What that means is that anything that is a repeatable job, such as filling out spreadsheets or writing the same email or doing research, is a part of your job that can be outsourced now to an AI or an AI agent. And that while your ability to use Boolean and use Google and maybe use ChatGPT effectively is something that would have gotten you kudos and maybe a promotion 15 years ago, is no longer the case. And so you have to think like an owner and own your visionary thinking in any role that you go into, whether you're in finance, whether you're in marketing, or whether you're in something in between. And so if you're that commodity, you can either be outsourced back out to India, you can be replaced, or anything in between. For those of you who are more newer to the job market, maybe you're new graduates who are about to leave college here in 3 months, 2 to 3 months, or maybe you're somebody who graduated college last year and is still searching for work. You know that entry level work is also now at risk. The average new hire last year was 40 years old. The average new home buyer last year was also 41 years old. And these are both numbers that are rising as we speak. And that just speaks to the fact that a lot of companies are now hiring people who understand how to operate and understand how to think, and much less are about what to do because now doing can be outsourced to AIs. And so, what are we going to do to get around this, right? We have to become better thinkers. We have to become strategic thinkers, but we also have to become networkers in the right communities where we become known for what we do. And this is sort of a side thing to AI as well. AI now has enabled anyone to create a website or an app. And what really sets you apart differently from other people is not necessarily your ability to create and execute, but also your ability to distribute. So if you have a large social media community, if you have a large email list, these are all benefits to you at this point. And if you don't have one, well, you have social channels, that social networks that you use anyway, and so that's also something that can be beneficial to you. And so as you look forward into the next 2 months or so, next quarter, as you look to your job search, you have a couple of action items that you should consider. Number one is you should prioritize your networking opportunities over cold applications because cold applications are competitive anyway, and you may not be able to get through to the other side. Number two is to build real world use cases and really, overstating an excitement to learn. I know many of you probably go into your job searches and you're thinking, okay, I'll go into my interview and I'll say, yeah, I don't know XYZ tool, but I'm excited to learn and I really want to show you that I care about what it is that I know how to do. We are unfortunately not in that kind of economy anymore. But if you have access to a ChatGPT or a Replit or even a Google Auto Gravity, you can build websites from scratch and show that you know what it is to be scrappy and use those as examples for your next job. And so, what does that lead to? It's thinking about the bigger picture as well, in addition to the tactics that you need to do. Many of us, I'm guessing here, are practitioners. We are people who know how to write well. We know our way around Microsoft Excel. We know our way around a coding IDE. And those are all very important to know. But even more so is, do we know how to operate in those realms and think about how it affects any business that we're going to go work for at a bigger level? And so you have to understand how the big picture works now, in addition to being in the weeds. And then finally, it's to pivot towards what works and not what is ideal, right? We all think we want our dream jobs, but at the moment, it's what's in healthcare, contract rules, education, and those things in between that support those areas. And so if you need a job really badly, think about how you can be using your applicable transition skills to go into those areas, those transferable skills, correct? All right. So they're really looking for turnkey candidates. Yes. So what's going on in this economy now is because you have a flood of candidates in the market, supply outweighs demand by a significant amount. Supply of job seekers weighing demand for job seekers. And so if they're looking for someone to do A, B, C, they literally want that person to do A, B, and C. If you're a marketer and the company that you're going to go work for is looking for somebody who can work in, let's say, data and analytics, but your background is food and beverage, they're going to go for that data and analytics candidate that competes against you every single time, unless your job interview is really, really significantly you make a significant impression that shows that you'd be a better candidate. And this is going to go for every single thing that you go into. All right. So that leads me to trend number two, is that in the AI world where everybody is trying to land that next job and job searches now take way longer than ever, sometimes 6 months to a year and a half, you must do what you can to systematize your search. And so I know that a lot of us have heard a lot of advice, right? You need to customize your resume. You need to write a cover letter. You need to reach out to people and do these things and do that. And the truth of it is that you need to balance these bespoke approaches with ruthless systems, because every single person that you are competing against out there today is using something to help them get ahead, whether it's ChatGPT, whether it's an AI agent that they've built to go help them find jobs, whether it's even going on LinkedIn and going onto the job search site and trying to find job roles that have been added in the last 60 minutes. All of these things can make a difference in being contacted and being seen in the ATS system. And so you have to know what your job search stack looks like and how you're thinking philosophically around it. But that's not all. You also have to get familiar with your interview answers and your stories. Gone are the days where you can maybe speak off the cuff and think out loud, but you rather have to have all of your stories down. And all of this really comes down to not only knowing your narrative, but also really staying connected with this job market today. And all of it I talk about really is doing whatever it takes to get that next job. You can't sit back and wait for opportunities to come to you. You really have to see that opportunities are something that you go and you pursue relentlessly. And so this is our system here that we use at Albert's List. We use it in our job search bootcamp, and we talk about it quite often, and we call this the hiring hierarchy. The hiring hierarchy is a job search framework that really highlights the important foundational elements all the way up to the leadership components that make a job search workable. In order to even start a job search, we talk about the importance of having hunger, having hustle, self-awareness, resilience, and the right attitude and commitment. And I call this all the very foundational basic stuff because sometimes we can view job search as a very part-time activity. We'll do job searching today, we'll go do something else tomorrow, we'll sleep in the next day, and then hopefully we'll get somewhere and be out of unemployment by the time we hit our second month. Unfortunately, it does not work like that, and it kind of has never worked like that. The second level of this foundational skill, and the first two levels really what I see are essential to every single job, or at least 80% of jobs, are your typical things like your resume, your cover letter, personal branding, the networking you do, and your overall job searching skill set. And then from there, we go into having a vision for a job, having the metrics to back yourself up, having some connection to the job that you want to do, and then ultimately being a leader. And truly, as AI starts to eat away at the basic jobs, these top two levels are going to become even more important because you're going to have to lead with fewer resources and you're going to have to create and execute upon a vision in a way that, traditionally you may not ever have had to do, in the sense that instead of just being able to work in a software IDE or work in Microsoft Word or Excel, you're going to have to connect those tasks out into broader work and strategy that you accomplish so that you can be successful. And the thing that connects all to this is that motion creates emotion. And I mentioned whatever it takes, right? This is my calendar that I had in my last job search. This is August of 2022. And I know August of 2022 was a much different job market than the one that we see now. I was That's before Google and Amazon and all these other companies cut a bunch of people. But the point is really still the same. It's that you need to fill your calendar and that you need to create action for yourself at any level that you possibly can so that you can know that you're moving forward, but also give yourself the impression that you're being productive. And this doesn't just mean, you know, go to random networking events. You still need to be strategic. You still need to be meaningfully connecting with others, right? If you look at my calendar, it's not just job interviews, but I'm connecting with friends. I'm going out and biking. I'm working out and exercising. And I don't have it here, but I'm also skill building as well, and making sure that I can catch up with what I need to catch up with. And yes, if you are screenshotting these slides, feel free to screenshot these slides rather, if that helps you out any bit. So, with that said, right, motion creates emotion. It should be whatever it takes for you to get to where you want to be in your next step of your job search. And yes, cleaning my kitchen. Cleaning my kitchen. Yes. That's on there too. Right. And so all of these things, right, they all sum up and allow you to become the best version of yourself that you can possibly be. And so in that, right, it's also important to know, as we mentioned, how to be a better interviewer and knowing how you get your narratives told out there. An interview is two things. It is you overcoming whatever risk that you may be, and also helping you become the most qualified and exciting candidate that they have on their entire roster as you come through. I'm going to say that again. An interview is about you downplaying your risk and finding the right things to say to do so, and becoming the most exciting candidate that can possibly be. And so these all come out to just several questions, right? Every single interview is composed of several strategically placed interview question types that is going to tell the company whether you are a good fit or not. And so these questions I have categorized into personality, situational, hypothetical, research, and logically based questions. And as you navigate building your interview rubric, as you navigate understanding how the job search interview works, it's important for you to also ask yourself the question, what are they really asking for? So, for example, when they're telling you to tell them about a time when you failed, are they really telling you about a time when you failed? They're not. Hint, hint. What they're really looking for is they're trying to see whether you've learned any lessons from failure in your previous role, and that you will not make that mistake again, and you know how to grow from that mistake. And truly, what that means at the end is that they're looking to make sure that past success or past failure is an indicator of future success. And as I like to say, this is something your stockbroker hopes that you don't think about and hopes that you don't believe in, but it's absolutely something that your next hiring manager is hoping that you will bring to them. Or as a previous job search coach once told me, Your future employer hopes that you create no problems, cause no problems, and that you solve all of their problems. And it's going to take you an interview to have to explain that, whether it's through your verbal answers, whether it's talking to your future peers, or whether it's doing the homework that they assign you. And so knowing how this game gets played is very, very important. And with interviews being so coveted today, you have to get this part right. So, what are your action items from this particular trend, right? Number one, I want you to evaluate your effort against the needs of the market. The job market is very employer centric right now. And so, if you're not working hard in your job search and you're not putting it all out on the table, then you really need to evaluate whether you are and make those adjustments. Number two is to fill your calendar and connect with others. I think I dropped my LinkedIn profile earlier. It was on one of these slides. But look, if you would like to talk to me for 20 minutes about what it is that I do for work or what it is that I do for Albert's List, hit me up on LinkedIn and add me and set 20 minutes with me so that I can be a part of your calendar so that you can build the momentum for your career. Number three is to understand your narrative and build an interview question bank and stress test it. You must understand all the answers that you are giving in the interview today, and you must be ready to put your feet to the fire. With AI and ChatGPT being able to literally create interview question banks for you, there is no excuse for you to not know what's coming. And so, knowing what your story is and knowing what's coming and bringing it all together to build yourself as the lowest risk is going to help you a lot. And then number five, because I think this is also really important too, and I get that it's a tough, tough job market, is to assess your attitude. My preference is always that you go with a whatever it takes type of thinking. And whatever it takes type thinking means that you are putting it all out on the field and that you are not, and that you are paying attention to everything that is happening. So please take a look at that and see where you're at. All right. Trend number three is to skate where the puck is going. So I mentioned this earlier that, there are industries right now that are super strong. And I'm going to emphasize this as its own separate trend. Healthcare, as you know, is really hot. Skill and AI is also really important too. And there may be some trends in your own countries that may be very unique. And so it's important to follow where those all might be. I encourage you to ride the wave because the wave is always what's going to keep you employed. If you have a super niche job, that's fine too. Just know that if you lose it, you may end up having to go longer to try and find whatever it might be new. And what does that look like, right? It means that there's a lot of things to run towards and a lot of things to run away from as the job market evolves, as the world's jobs shift from one place to another. Right. So if you're an AI, then being a data scientist or a big data engineer or somebody who's a machine learning specialist is going to be important because, as you know, you're probably also replacing yourself eventually. But at the basis of AI is all this data, and this data needs to be managed and governed effectively. But where else, right? Like if you're still in tech, you want to run towards things like AI, analytics, cybersecurity, even cryptocurrency at some level. You want to run away from everything else because pretty much all the big companies are investing into AI and really just pulling away because they think that AI is going to be the area that makes them the future. If you're somebody who works in public sector, state and local government is the place to be right now, especially as the executive branch in the United States, at least, eats up the federal government and tries to shrink it. If you're looking at, the future of banking, financial services, that was one that I had here. I would still say so to some degree, but, running away from nonprofits is probably the definite move because a lot of government funding is also drying up and so forth. And so understanding the trends, understanding robotics, understanding where all of these things are headed is going to be a big part of where you go next. And so your action items, identify your transferable skills and your value proposition. Every one of you here in this room today brings a unique skill set and a unique set of experiences that can apply in many different areas. You just have to be able to explain it well within the interview. And then, of course, be open to everything and understand your local market. Of course, we saw in the charts that a lot of things are similar, so that's important to note too. Trend number 4, as I mentioned to you earlier and warned, it's to action upon AI, right? So all these governments these days are investing an astronomical amount in AI. And it's played a part in the 2025 and now 2026 layoffs, as we've seen evidenced in the webinar chat today. And now is the time to learn, regardless of whether this is in a bubble or not. Because one way or another, even if the bubble bursts and we see a massive outpouring of funds and write downs, AI is still going to exist at some level. They might have ChatGPT at $20 forever, but they may also just, continue to lower prices and create ad supported models because they know they need to make up for the financing somewhere. And so get in or be left behind. Trend number 5 goes along with this, which is an entrepreneurial mindset that takes center stage. Career ownership also matters across more than ever. I mentioned the visionary piece and thinking about having a point of view. I think authenticity is going to matter a lot going forward, especially as people begin to trust less and less AI avatars and all of these things. And so you're going to have to find ways to really stand out, but also to create projects that create proof of concept for what it is that you're capable of doing. So, for me, it's taking on side hustles such as Albert's List, where I like teaching these things and connecting with people, but also becoming that strategic searcher and thinking like a visionary. And so for everybody who is in this webinar room today, AI will affect you. I'm not going to mince words on that. I think it's evident given the layoffs, given the amount of money that's being spent, and given the intentions of our large corporations and our small corporations that they are going to do whatever they can to drive efficiency using AI and drive transformational change and use it as a differentiator. And the next area of it is already here with AI agents. OpenClaw is here, Claude is here, ChatGPT has agents that all work in some way to really make it so that you can be replaced, but so that the business can also be automated and efficient. Like, who doesn't want to wake up to research already done for them and so forth, right? And so we go upon the age-old adage that AI won't take your job, but somebody who knows it will, right? And I think that is more evident than ever as we head into the era that we're in. And so, this is how I live, in my side hustle world with learning AI. On the left here is my fiance's website. She's a community organizer and a career coach and strategist. And I built this website on the left here with Replit. And I was able to connect it to a domain name and really get it launched on time. And the one on the right is a food trail application that I created where somebody can literally go and create itineraries in Paso Robles. And, it can be a 1, 2, or 3 day trip. And this is something that I literally created on a flight between San Francisco and Raleigh, North Carolina. And so when you consider all of this, that you can create this, you maybe need a web developer for the more complicated stuff, but for the simple things such as this is all proof of concept that you can launch tomorrow. And so your action items, right, is to pick an AI lane, agents, content, process flows, business consulting, and really learn about it and apply it into your everyday usage and own those skills and that knowledge. And once you've applied all these 5 trends and you get hired or you find your way into the next step of what you're trying to do with your work, it's important to remember that a job search, or rather a job, is rarely forever. So keep networking, acquiring skills, and building your brand. But in addition to that, increase your strategic value as you move towards career leadership. Remember, AI is here. It is here to stay. You need to own it. But also, more to that fact, we also need to become our own visionary chief executive whichevers or with whichevers in whatever area that you're working, right? A CIO, a CMO, a CTO, a controller, any of those types of things that you're thinking about, you need to get into that mindset because if you're not, then AI will do that thinking for you. And if AI can do that thinking for you, then you're not necessarily needed. And so, number three to that is to also continue to skate where the puck is going, not where it currently is. So, your AI skills, your leadership skills, and your entrepreneurship skills. And so, the thoughts for 2026 are this is that what you saw in 2025 is going to continue happening. I think layoffs, as we've seen, will continue to bleed over into other areas as AI mania keeps going. We're now seeing it go into the financial sector. We've seen it in the logistics sector, particularly with tariffs and so forth. And just a few select industries are going to continue to grow and then possibly burst, mostly AI and healthcare, probably in 20 to 25 years. If your for last year was pivot, I would say don't retire it yet. Keep on using it and don't focus on landing a job, but it also helps to expand and see what else is out there for you, given that the cost for access is also there too. Why does the private education sector perform well? I would say because education continues to be a very inelastic good, and so people will pay almost anything for it, even if the public school system is not great, and they want their kids to grow up in an advantageous situation. Someone writes, I see folks posting sad stories on LinkedIn asking for job help. I think so many are in this stage, and would it move the needle? What is your take on this? So I would say that yes, you should absolutely write that you are looking for job help, but you should do it in a way that shows what it is that you've been doing versus just asking for a job straight up. I do believe I have someone in my LinkedIn who's been posting for 3 years straight that they're looking for a job. And, it's an interesting look because I kind of don't know what they're doing, but I know that they need a job and I think they're a recruiter, but they haven't really provided any insights outside of please hire me. And while there are a lot of people who expand and extend their postings for reach, I also don't think it necessarily paints them in the best light given how they talk about themselves. So, how you talk about yourself is just as important as doing the talking. So, I would really consider what that looks like too. Okay, there are actually a lot of layoffs in higher education, private or public. I was laid off from a public university last year. Yes, that is true, especially as enrollment declines and you see a lot of and you see a lot of funding also get pulled from the government by the government. So that's also something to consider. But any lower than that, the um, K through 12 system may also have opportunities too, depending on where you're at. So, with all of this said, I want to invite you all to take action. There's a lot of things coming up here on Albert's list that I want to invite you to, and I want to provide some context based on everything that we've been talking about, right? And so I want to start off with something. I want to offer you my free resume template. This is a resume template that I've used to get 35 job offers over the last 4 job searches. Um, and I'm going to go ahead and paste these into the chat as I have them come through. Basically, you can take this, copy and paste it, and go. And you can get it on Gumroad for free. If you'd like to donate, you can also donate as well as part of the process. If you're wondering about the state of the job market, both global and the United States, I also want to invite you to our monthly employment and inflation report, with our next webinar being next Thursday. This is led by Dr. Riley White. He is a professor of finance and associate dean of business at the University of New Mexico. He comes with us every month to talk about the state of the job market and answer your questions and really share the trends of what's going on and what matters and perhaps what doesn't even matter. And so I want you to come and join us for that and really, discover where the market is and be able to better explain why your job market is such a struggle. Yes, I can share these slides, Rebecca. Let's see. We'll do some questions here. Shweta asks, will AI take over design roles as well? I'm an interior designer. Do you think AI could become more creative than a designer's mind? Yeah, absolutely. I think that unless it's super bespoke designing, where you're working with somebody who has very unique ideas, I think depending on how much the cost of architecture and design rises, a lot of companies may look to AI to help lower costs. And so you may want to consider yourself becoming a more strategic individual, whatever that means in your industry, to really get into area of your job where you can be somebody who takes care of either very customized clients and bespoke clients, or somebody who can just do a lot of work at once for many, many clients because you know how to handle AI. Simon says, do you think degrees will be more or less valuable as the job market shifts? This is tough to say because I think that for a lot of entrepreneurs who never really liked or respected the idea of a degree in the first place because they always rebelled against it, I think for a lot of them, AI is very, very thrilling to them because they see the rise of AI as them not necessarily needing degrees or certifications to be qualified for anything. And so I do think that depending on the audience, your degree doesn't matter as much as the work that you do, which is why I was saying, like, vibe code an app, create things that people can use. Um, there's no, I want this link. Um, I see it here. Let's see what happens if you type in 0 for name a fair price. Yeah, I don't know. Um, There is one. Okay. So someone did see it. So, yeah. So I think that depending on the type of person that you are going to be spending time with, your degree is either going to mean something or it won't mean anything at all. I think that overall, the elite technology class wants degrees to mean nothing and they want work to mean everything. And they're going to go by that. So I would think that in the longer run, degrees will mean less and less, unless you are in an area like engineering, medicine, law, or something that requires multiple years of education and preparation. All right, so on to the next thing. We're also launching our spring 2026 6-week job search bootcamp soon. This is our multi-week program where we help you and walk you through the entire job search process. And it's an opportunity for us to work with you in a group setting to help you land your next job, especially if you've been struggling. The job market has changed, the job market has evolved, and we bring in a group of recruiters, coaches, hiring managers, including myself, to help you with the job search process. Our preview is next week on the 11th, and we would love to have you there. Feel free to scan the QR code and sign up for it here, and we'll also follow up with it as well. We also invite you to pick up AI skills with us in our upcoming webinars on March 10th, 12th, the 25th, and in early April. We have a webinar on vibe coding on March 10th, building an AI agent on March 12th, using ChatGPT to jumpstart your job search and strategize and execute it on March 25th, and build a consulting side hustle with AI yet to be posted that will go up for early April. I invite you to sign up on Eventbrite and check that out at that point in time. If you're looking to DIY your job hunt, we also have the Job Seeker Survival Kit. The Job Seeker Survival Kit, which I will be updating here, is 55 hours worth of content valued at $2,000 for just $17 in total. We have 49 videos, including 18 mock interviews that cover everything from what to do once you get hired, to formulating your job search strategy, to using AI, to overcoming imposter syndrome. You can get your kit today with these 2 QR codes, and also sign up for office hours, which is $20 a year for 26 sessions. You can come and talk to me every other Wednesday, where I can answer your job search questions and help you go on your way. And with that, I see that we are at the top of the hour. I want to thank you for your time again. And I'm also open for any questions as we come to the end of this presentation. Yes, actually, let me share some of these links and also answer questions along the way. So if you're looking for how to build uh, AI skills for your career with vibe coding, here you go. If you want to get a preview of our job search bootcamp, it's here. Our bootcamp is 7 weeks and runs about $400, which is considerably more affordable than what you get on the market today. So come check it out. I'll talk about it and I'll answer all your questions. Let's see. Um, yeah. Yep. 26 office hours for $20 annual. Yep. It's something for you to get to know me and for us to, build trust. Yes. Yes. Do you think adding breaks and gaps as a reason is key on the resume or LinkedIn? I think if you're able to express what it is that you did during those years where, or the time um, when you were out of the job market, if you can explain what it is that you accomplished or what it is that you were doing, that's going to help you get more mileage out of the job search process and build more trust in the interview because they know that you've been continuing to work. All right. And then this is the February 2026 jobs report for next week. And then what else do we have here? This is how to strategize and execute your job search with ChatGPT in 1 hour. These all run between 5 and 30 to $400. All right, Ronnie says, I'm an international student who is 2 months away from graduation, and I'll require H-1B and possibly H-1B sponsorship, which many companies seem to shy away from. I'm a software engineering graduate already studying AI. How do I distinguish myself from local applicants? I'm also unsure how to properly skill set at the moment. So this is a good question. So if you are in software engineering working on AI, that already puts you at a benefit. I would say that you're going to distinguish yourself from other applicants with the projects that you do, and you're also going to be better at networking because networking is going to set you apart too. We're definitely in that kind of market right now where you need to go and find people who trust and believe you and also like you for who you are. And so I encourage you to really go out of your way and go and network and talk to people. The H1B is an interesting one as well that kind of throws a wrinkle in. And what I want you to consider there um, is that is that it's kind of going to be an uphill battle. And so again, right, you're going to have to stand out, you're going to have to go talk to people, talk to alumni, and you're really going to have to be, I would say, a lot more skilled and a lot more impressive than somebody who may be local and a citizen already. And so there's going to be a lot that I think will have to happen in that realm for you to stand out and do well. Um, Yeah. So message me if you want to pay for office hours. Um, uh, Send me an email there and I will go ahead and I will talk to you about it. Cool. All right. Let me see. Are there any other events? Yes, we also have another event here on resumes coming up with one of our other career coaches on March 26th. This is a free webinar. So check that out as well. Cool. Any other questions from the audience today? We're just about an hour in. And I still have a little bit of time that I can stay here for. All right. Well, let's take a look at the state of the economy poll that we ran earlier. For everyone that was here, 54% said that they were neutral, 43% negative, and 2% positive. So that's something to consider as we go into the state of the job market. Um, Ronnie also says, I don't suppose school graduation is good enough here, right? Some said that you need to go out and look for personal projects, but I don't know where to look for project ideas or how to build one. Yeah, so I would say personal projects. And not knowing you, I would say go to ChatGPT and say, I'm looking to start a project as a student around AI to demonstrate my skills. Interview me one question at a time about my thoughts or perspectives on a variety of topics, and using my answers, output me five different project plans that I can use to build an AI project. So go with that. Harini, you recently moved to New Zealand after marriage. Are you in Auckland? Are you somewhere else? Swati says, I have 8 years of experience in data migration and didn't get an opportunity now. I am looking for junior data engineer roles. How will I find the job? So you're going to have to do a lot of applying and a lot of networking, especially since you're looking for a junior role. Although you may be better off still in data migration in an engineering role simply because that's where most of your experience is. And you may not necessarily even need to move to a new job. You might be able to transition into something with just as much experience. So Harini, you said Auckland. So Auckland is the financial and business center. I would definitely go to um, your networking and co-working spaces in New Zealand and find people to talk to, sign up for events and go there. And then I think stuff.co.nz might be your job search site, if I recall correctly. I tried to move to New Zealand 13 years ago. So that's something that I still recall. Thank you, Julia. Thank you, Swati. Thank you, Yunji. I hope I inspired you. Thank you, Tanisha. Thank you, Vidya. Um, Someone says, not sure if I've seen you offer how to get bridge jobs as a topic as they are difficult to land. That might be something that I look into doing a presentation on. Thank you for the feedback on that. That's good. Okay. All right, cool. Sweeta says, are there any discussions or events coming up for startups? I'm an interior designer and recently moved to Brisbane from Adelaide. So, if you're looking for something in the side hustle space, we do offer consulting side hustle as a webinar, and we'll probably bring back our eBay webinar. But I don't have anything that's specifically startup specific. Oh, thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate you following me for a very long time, and I really hope I can help you find your next job too, given what happened with your marketing team. Oh, thank you, MC. Thank you. All right, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and conclude it here. I want to thank you again all for your time and your energy being here with me today. If you are looking for other events, we have many other job search and related events on our Eventbrite page. Please click here. And please also go to our YouTube channel for more links, resources, as well as our Facebook page where you can connect with hundreds to, well, thousands of job seekers, and recruiters and hiring managers and more. We'll see you soon, hopefully as soon as next week. And I wish that you have a wonderful weekend and a wonderful rest of your week. Thanks, everybody.